Hello and welcome to this video about rates of reaction. We've already looked at how we can adjust certain factors, for example temperature or concentration, in order to change the speed of a chemical reaction, but in this one we're going to look at how we can use catalysts. Now, to start us off, I've got an example here of a liquid in a flask. This is actually something called hydrogen peroxide. And if you were to leave this hydrogen peroxide in this flask that's connected to a gas syringe, it would slowly break down into water and oxygen. Now, this would actually take quite a long time, and you'd be sitting there for ages and ages while you were waiting for this gas syringe to fill up with oxygen. So it'd go very, very slowly over a long period of time. Now, what you can do is you can introduce another substance into this reaction, and that's something called manganese oxide. Manganese oxide is like a black powder, and if you add that to the reaction, what happens is the oxygen is produced much more rapidly. So within seconds you would see this syringe filling up with oxygen until all the hydrogen peroxide had reacted and broken down. Now, manganese dioxide in this case is an example of a catalyst, and a catalyst, quite importantly, is something that can speed up a chemical reaction, but it remains unchanged by that reaction. So that means if I was to take out this hydrogen peroxide, this manganese oxide at the end of this reaction, I could refill the flask and reuse this manganese oxide to speed up a second reaction, and in actual fact you can use it over and over again. Now, we have looked at various other ways in which we can speed up reactions, for example increasing temperature, increasing pressure if it's gases, increasing concentration if we've got solutions, and if we've got a solid reacting we can increase surface area. But using catalysts is another method. The problem with raising the temperature is that it can cost money, and also increasing the pressure costs money as well. So having catalysts makes these reactions much more efficient. Here are a couple of examples of reactions that might use catalysts. In the production of ammonia, we do increase the temperature, we do increase the pressure on the two gases, but we also use an ion catalyst. For producing nitric acid, we use something called rhodium and platinum, and these are catalysts that speed up the reaction. Here, these are actually very, very expensive, but the advantage is because you can use them over and over again, that does reduce cost. One last example here is converting oils into margarine, and we used a substance called nickel, which was a catalyst in this reaction. Now, you don't need to memorize these reactions or know particular examples of reactions, but another important thing to know and remember is that different catalysts are used for different reactions. So you wouldn't necessarily use iron for the reaction to produce nitric acid, or you wouldn't necessarily use platinum to produce your margarine, but different catalysts are used for different reactions. Now, the last thing I just wanted to go through quickly was just a summary of this idea of catalysts, their advantages and possibly disadvantages. We've got the fact that we use less energy, so lower temperatures can be used, and sometimes lower pressures can be used to carry out chemical reactions. They can speed up reactions, as we know. They are reusable, and they can lower the production costs of making useful products. On the downside, however, they sometimes can be toxic. If we use transition metals or transition metal compounds for catalysts, sometimes they can be toxic if they get released into the environment. Sometimes they can be very expensive. For example, gold is used in some chemical reactions. However, they're only required in very small amounts. They are reusable, and they, as we said, lower production costs. So sometimes it might be worth your while investing in something quite expensive in order to speed up a reaction because of these reasons. Okay, so that's a quick overview of catalysts. That's the final one for our speeding up chemical reactions. Hope you enjoyed, and see you again soon.